You're listening to Midwest Coven Cast.
I'm Susie.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Marilyn. We are three modern pagans making our way through this world.
We hope you will join us every 2 weeks
For conversations about,
Well,
just about everything. We hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Coven! We're always so awkward.
Excuse me. I needed to burp. I'm sorry.
Girl's like, welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. Excuse me.
So I will say that it's getting pretty low, our ritual candle here. It's down to, which the bottom of the cup could be like anywhere in this area.
So it's getting pretty close.
Yes.
Aww.
I don't remember. Well, we still haven't looked back to see what the
terrible.
guesses were.
One of these days we'll do our
It's
homework.
in the document somewhere.
Once it actually goes out and we have a final count, then we'll be like, go back and see.
Who's the closest, yeah.
Well, maybe you can go back and see. I mean, we are, in fact, talking about the Gateway experience today.
Oh,
Yes.
that's true, yeah. We can remote view
Traveling into time and
Yes,
dimensions.
we're going to just travel through time and space, y'all, through our minds.
So is that the claim? Is that the main claims of what the experience is said to do?
Largely, yeah. That's it. More or less is kind of what the claim, like the major claim, is. So I'm going to read from you because part of the reason that this has become sort of kind of a popular thing is that the CIA quasi recently, I think, released some documents. That talk about the Gateway experience because they actually had somebody from the CIA go to, I think it's called the Monroe Institute, where Bob Monroe created this process of hemisync, which we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yep.
Basically, from that document it says, fundamentally, the Gateway experience is a training system designed to bring enhanced strength, focus, and coherence to the amplitude and frequency of brainwave output between the left and right hemisphere, so as to alter consciousness, moving it outside the physical sphere, so as to ultimately escape even the restrictions of time and space. The participant then gains access to the various levels of intuitive knowledge which the universe offers. So, also one more quote from that document because I think it kind of also wraps around like what it is and what it does. It says Gateway endeavors to provide the subject with the tools by which he may alert his consciousness based on his own volition over time through the repetitive use of the tapes so as to access via intuitive means new categories of information not available to ordinary consciousness. So, now, do I think that is a lofty claim, and I'm not so sure that it actually does this, but I was interested in trying it.
So I feel like this is a CIA's attempt to create psychological weapons and like warfare, and so they were trying to like do superhuman experiments, to see how far they can push humans, but like, at the same time, everything that we view as reality is all a construct of what our society has told us reality is supposed to be like. So, of course, there's other ways to view reality. And so having an experience that's said to, like, pull that out is, I don't know. I feel like there would be a lot of ways that would be more unique to each individual than just having, like, a series of tapes, and that's just how you experience this,
Well, so I what's funny to me is that I was very skeptical about it because I was thinking, CIA, Manchurian Candidate shit, they're going to make all these, they're going to wire my brain.
They're going to mess with my brain waves.
They're going to subliminally message me to think these things and be these things and do these things that I'm not going to be aware of because they're subliminally messaging to me, you know what I mean? So I was very paranoid about it at first. But what I found actually a little bit intriguing is the fact that, like, I delved deep. I read that CIA document.
So yeah.
I was so interested because I had no idea really what it was when you told me about it. Like, she told me about it, like, I think when we first started the season because I couldn't sleep. And I started the first part of the first wave, and I did it the one time, and it was kind of awkward, and I didn't really, like, think much of it at the time. I didn't delve into it. But then after we were going to do this podcast, I was like, you know what, before I just go off and do something, I really want to, like, make sure I'm not getting myself into something that I'm going to regret,
Yeah, I watched a bunch of YouTubes of reviews of people that have already done it and about what it's supposed to be, and before I actually listened to tape 1.
Yes, and that's what my thing was, too. I was like, I don't want to just go off and do this and then just be, like, mind-controlled or some shit. You know what I mean?
What is this actually?
But the part that I found really fascinating about it is that you hear people about, like, Edgar Cayce, who had time and time again the ability to go under, like, hallucination and then tap into, like, for instance, if a person was sick, he'd be able to tell them what their ailment was and what, like, steps they needed to take to, like, cure it, and they literally would be cured. Like, I don't know, I can't really refer to anything specifically with Edgar Cayce just because I don't really know all the specifics, but I remember it being phenomenal, the information that this man was able to retrieve from, quote-unquote, the ether, or the absolute is what they refer to it as, but it's like, yeah, I could see why.
I've heard of Edgar Cayce, but I'm not, like, really aware of.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. I'm just like,
it's this dude that
It's
literally
clairvoyant, isn't it? But
yes.
but
That's what they refer to him as.
yeah. But I have not read a whole lot about him specifically. Like, I've heard mention of him. So, like, I don't know enough to, like, opine, I guess.
Back in the day, I remember I was watching a whole bunch of different stuff about Edgar Cayce, but to this day, I can't really quite remember all of, like I said, the specifics. I just remember, like, he would lay on a couch, his wife would be in, like, a session with him, and he would have the person that had the questions to ask, and they would just ask him questions, and basically, well, I remember also they mentioned something about how sometimes people would use him for, like, kind of more personal, like, not, like, personal gain type of reasons, and that would make him sick afterwards. Like, it wouldn't, I forget all of the details, but I remember something, like, weird like that was also. But then you also hear about the CIA and how they used it for espionage and war. They actually literally had soldiers go under their, like, hypnotism and, you know, go across to their enemy border lines. And although they weren't able to translate it, like, 100%, like, you know, I forget what, like, how to describe it. Like, they would give them pictures a lot of times or symbols, or they would be really, really, like, close to what it was. Like, I remember one video specifically, they showed, like, a runway of, like, an airport or something, and, like, where the base was and where, like, all these different things were in the enemy territory, all because he went and tried to find that information out because he was, like, told to. He, you know, came back into his body and, like, drew out what he saw, and it literally was kind of what was there. So it's like, you know, I do have a belief in the whole, like, there could be, like, an ultimate
yeah, you're not convinced it doesn't exist, but you're maybe not 100% convinced either, so.
I've heard of stories that make me convinced.
Yeah, I've heard stories that
not done it
make me not completely closed off to ideas like that. I mean, like, and there's, it kind of, when you were talking about Edgar Cayce, right? Yep. It reminds me of, I was watching this, like, thing on A&E one time, and they had, like, these kids who, like, they thought they had, like, special abilities or whatever. And one of them, it was, like, there's, especially within the occult, there's, like, a specific name for it. Or a specific kind of clairvoyance where you can, like, tell people's sickness or, like, associate pieces of body, basically.
Okay.
With your psychic abilities or something like that. But there was, like, this kid who could, like, if he was around you, he could kind of tell you what ailments you had. It was, he seemed to be able to do it relatively, at least based on the framing of the documentary I was watching. Could that be able to do it pretty well.
Could that be a form of, like, empathy? Like, instead of feeling people's emotions, you're feeling, like, their physical pains? Like,
I don't know if he physically felt the pain, but he could usually locate or tell people where a pain was happening, or if they had, like, an ailment with their liver or something, you know what I mean? Like,
right, like something that was physical in their body wrong with them, yeah. He could pinpoint what it was and tell them, hey, like...
Basically, yeah.
Similar to Edgar Cayce.
Right.
That's really, really cool. Like, I've never heard of that or seen that, but I'd be interested to see that.
How much of it is coincidence? How much of it is real? I don't know, but
well, you know...
It's an interesting question, you know?
One of the other things that I also found super, like, I guess kind of, strangely, coincidental is the fact that, like, right now Dr. Joe Dispenza is really popular for heart and brain harmonization. How when you synchronize your brain with your heart and you are coherent.
Isn't that one of the guys that the person when we were at the fire festival? Is that who
she referred to him? Yeah, I think so, actually. But what he was talking about is people getting into a meditative state where they're basically like able to, synchronize their brain and their heart, and they measure the brain waves and they measure the hertz and all this stuff on all the machines, and they're able to literally like, I forget what he refers to it as, but they're just basically like in a state of flow, you know? And I think it's the same thing. Like, I feel like the only difference is that these things are using the hertz in your head to like synchronize you to
the hemisync
instead of you having to get there on your own capabilities, I guess, which I could find appealing because I find that hard to do myself. So that's why I'm like, maybe I should give these things a try, because if they can like just kind of trick my brain because of the hertz that it's hearing and I don't know about into those states that when I'm concentrating and trying to get to those states, it'll kind of allow that to happen more easily. I'd be interested in that. Like, the biggest thing that I remember them talking about with the hemisync thing was about how once your brain, because of all like the fluid that it sits in, and because of your heart and the way that it pumps out your blood, it creates some sort of like a frequency, and then that creates a frequency, and then I forget how, like, there's a thing that I watched that described it beautifully, actually, but it was, like, talking about how when you're, resonating at a certain frequency, then you're at, like, peace, you know, or you have, like, I forget what the different brain waves are at the different hertz, but, like, you know how they talk about, like, theta and delta and all of that? I feel like they were talking about how, like, when your brain is at a certain hertz resonation, then you're able to like tap into almost like a dream state, and you're able to like you know kind of get that other further information or that out of body feeling or experience where you think you're somewhere else,
but it's you're incapable to get there at the other levels that you're usually constantly at. Yes, and I don't know. I what's funny to me too is that back in the day, Cora and I would talk about out of body experiences all the time and how we always wanted to have one, and I never ever like tried super duper hard to have one, but like I would have always wanted to have one. And he swore that when he would dream sometimes he would just know he was dreaming and he would just be able to more or less control his dream.
I could do that sometimes.
And I can't do that. Nick says he can do it all the time, and I'm like, I cannot. Like, really? Very rarely have I ever been like, I've been aware that I'm in a dream sometimes, but I still kind of
do it sometimes.
I feel like I still have to go with the flow for some reason. Like, I don't ever really be able to know that I'm making the decision in there. You know what I mean?
I can feel myself take control in dreams sometimes, because like I will like be cognizant that like, let's say there's like two doors, and like I'll feel compelled sort of towards one, but I'll be like, no, I'm going to this one. Like I can like change things up, or like change up what I want to be doing or what I'd rather be doing. In it.
Like I've been in dreams where I've realized that it was a dream, but I don't know if I have control, but I also feel like sometimes it's just like it's actually happening. Like I feel like it's real life, but it's like I also know it's a dream, if that makes sense. Like
I've also, when I was a kid, had like an experience where it was so I've had the worst time was when I was a kid, but I've had a couple of other like instances where it felt so real I wasn't really sure if I was dreaming or not. But, like, I was conscious of the question, which was weird, if that makes sense. But, like, when I was young, I remember we spent the night at Auntie's house, and I was young, I was, like, 5 or 6, maybe. Like, maybe you weren't even born yet. Well, you might have been born. Maybe you're, like, a babe. But anyways, we were all over at Auntie's. And we went, it was like Thanksgiving, and then we all went to bed, and Mom spent the night there too. It was like odd, Mom almost never did that, but she did that night. And I was sleeping on her nice white couch, and like I thought I had woken up, and I was like sneaking into Auntie's kitchen, everybody was asleep, you know. And then like all of a sudden, like all these like cartoon villains start coming out after me, and like I am like freaked out because I was convinced I was awake. Like,
Yeah.
I was in Auntie's house. It was Auntie's house. I was going to the kitchen. Everything seemed normal. I could feel things. I was walking into her kitchen. And then just all of a sudden, I peed the bed that night. Auntie was so mad. Because I was like, I was past the point where I tended to, I was old enough to where I wasn't really wetting the bed anymore. So, like,
it was like a rare
so
thing. Yeah.
Like a go figure.
And like literally everybody was there spending the night. It was like, oh my god.
I've had dreams where like I thought I went and walked to the toilet and like, nope, definitely was still in bed pissing on myself.
Oh no.
I think it just happens to everybody, it's some,
I mean, when you're a little, and even when you're big. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man.
Oh, but back to what's that?
Shit happens.
Yeah. But speaking of sleep, this I did recommend it to you when you were not sleeping well, because I noticed when I started this, because I did kind of the deep dive, and like my interests are peaked. I don't really think it probably does like some of these more outrageous things that people claim, but like I'm not really at that point where I think that it's capable of that, I guess you would say. But I'm interested because I did notice though when I do it, I sleep really well that night. Because I usually do it right before bed. I don't know if you're really intended to do it before bed, because it tells you to like at the end of it,
to be able to have time to reflect,
be like whatever.
Yeah.
But I do tend, and I dream pretty heavily too those nights.
So before I even did the first tape, I guess I didn't 100% realize that it was kind of like a hypnosis technique type thing. Like, he's going to hypnotize us, and the CIA is going to hypnotize you, and
I've never really
very
felt like I lost consciousness ever doing it so far.
Yeah. Well, it's very like computery sounding at the beginning too, and then his voice is very like,
it is a little hypnotic.
He's very works for the CIA type of voice, and so
and his voice is like straight from like a 1950s like
sci-fi
video tutorial or something, like it's very it's kind of deep. Oh my gosh.
For me, it wasn't something that I could meditate to like, it hit. And I think for me, that's something that if I'm going to listen to like a guided meditation, I need like the sound to be
soothing.
More like, I mean, he does do like the waterfall-y sound eventually and stuff, but, and like the waves and, but just his voice in general is very off-putting. Like, I need it, like, ASMR to be more like, more not that.
Yeah, no, I actually do agree that he did have a little bit of an off-putting. But I do tend to wonder, though, like, should we wait till after that?
I'm not sure because it's in the background now. My neighbors have their motorcycle out. It is a nice night. I'll give them that, but
I just want to make sure.
But we don't have a studio, y'all. We're just in my kitchen,
you know? We're good. But,
I think they've probably heard the kids playing outside. There's some kids outside. Mm-hmm. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's a family podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are inappropriate for children.
Not every episode.
But like, we are a family. And we are just in a house, So.
But no, I'm thinking, what was I saying? Something about we were talking about the guy's voice. Oh, I didn't also find the computer thingies to be, like, I do.
The beep, 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 beep at the beginning of each episode.
Yeah, that was very, like,
it's very like, oh, they're tapping into my brain again. Beep, 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 beep,
Yeah. Yes, though, like, that's kind of my only, like, thing that
It's time to relax now. Beep, 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 beep. Very soothing.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never really gotten those vibes from it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too trusting, but
I mean, that's the thing, though. I feel like I'm a total skeptic on, like, like you were talking about the government and all CIA and stuff, like, I see where you're coming from with that, because I don't want to just, like, give my mind over to that willingly. Well, but at the same time, I kind of wonder if it's just their scientific-y way of, like, describing meditation. like deep meditation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like
So maybe it's not like a big conspiracy, it's just that they're talking about it in really technical terms. And it
pretty
sounds
much
like, ooh, spooky.
but also, here's the thing though, is that if they are very technical about it and they are able to just create something that taps into any and all people's brains if you give it the right amount of it, is
Fine
it
line
something
between
that's-
science and magic, baby. I'm just saying.
Are you going-
So how far did you listen to? Did you listen to the...
I am currently so I feel like we need to describe the structure because I don't think we've talked about that yet. So there are like, I believe it's 6 or 7 waves, and then each wave has several parts. I think like the first part is like 6 or 7 like way up parts, and then the second wave is like, I don't know, 5 or 6 parts or something along those lines. I don't know the exact numbers. Don't quote me on those. But it's, generally speaking,
it's a whole
that's how
series.
it's structured. Yes.
So I do have a question. So I remember they were talking about how, like, you know, within the first so-and-so, you're creating, like, a box to put all of your fears and anxieties into and all your physical things so that way you're not, you know, weighed down by your physical stresses.
Yeah.
And then the next step was something about, was the next step creating the bubble?
I think it's you do your resonant tuning.
Oh, resonant tuning. Okay, so my question is, are those different parts that they teach you all of that? Or is it different waves that they teach you these things?
Well, that's stuff that you learn in the first wave for the most part. The first
wave, different parts of the...
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm so right now I am like on wave 2 part 4 or 5 because I've been doing, like, I do each one of them multiple times.
Okay.
So I've been just kind of doing it slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know, I mean, I have not had, like, some out-of-body experience.
So, my question, so if you're on wave 2, that means that you have done wave 1, parts 1 through...
Like 6,
multiple times.
7. Yeah.
And then wave... Okay, do you feel controlled by the CIA right now?
No.
Like
0%.
I feel like you could get tapped into with the little boop, 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 beep, beep, boop, and
but they're probably
like
listening to this conversation.
Message. Well, of course they are. I mean, it's going on their internet. So
Google's here, and so is Siri.
If we get canceled, y'all know why. We're onto something here, okay? Report it. No, I'm just kidding. To the CIA.
Is this going to be like our Blair Witch episode? They're just going to, like, find us in the woods.
Nobody's gonna we're not going to get any listens on this episode, and we're not going to know why.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
let's
so I only made it through, like, the first episode and a little bit of the second part. But the first episode, when he's talking about how you need to create this box that can hold energy. Uh-huh. And so I'm picturing my baby, like my 2-year-old baby boy, because he can hold a lot of energy. And then they're like, you're going to take all of your negative energy and put that in this box. And I'm like, oh no, like
that's not the box I really wanted to envision here. I take it back.
Here. So I already had to, like, undo my exercise and then, like, start over while he's like
a box. Got it.
Like, not this,
just a regular box,
like something that can control
box.
that can hold infinite energy. Like, that was just the first thing that came to mind.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of gone to, like, I think I've snoozed maybe for the last, like, 5 to 10 minutes of one before, just because I did it when I was really tired. But I've done all of them where I've been conscious throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Regardless of having fallen asleep once or twice on a part or two. You know what I mean? Like, when I was doing it. But I listened to the same audio every time. You know what I mean? So
well,
I would know if there was something funky.
The other thing that I found a little bit interesting was, did you notice that in the document they had a missing page?
Oh, I did not notice it.
There was a page missing.
A keen eye.
Yeah, no.
Which page is it? I think
page
I have
25. I actually have a link Because
is there like one that's been leaked or something?
yes, it actually came to someone's email. I can't remember how and why, but
has it been verified that it's truly the 25th page?
That is one thing I don't know. But what I read, it seemed very much like the same language style as it, which could have been obviously on
purpose.
Yeah, but
maybe they just like forgot the page or like I don't know.
Let me see if I can find it. But I'll try to find it and I was actually...
We'll put it on our Patreon.
Yeah.
We're going to find it. We'll link it.
But I definitely...
on our Patreon.
But what was interesting about it was the fact that they had subliminal little... What's the word? Just like little sayings, like little things in the page, like... they just looked like little lines from afar, but if you were to magnify it like times 300 or something, they actually had little like... people saying their experiences.
Well, we should definitely create a document for our Patreon that has like links to some of they're basically, I don't know if they're supposed to be, so hopefully this isn't going to get them knocked off, but right now you can get them on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And so we can link to the first like wave or something, and then also provide the CIA document plus like the link to the possible 25th page.
Yeah.
But it doesn't sound like that's been verified. Although we'll have to do some looking. But we can still link it.
Yeah. Well, so me and Trevor, we started watching Stranger Things. Like me and Dylan have seen it before, but Trevor's never seen it, so we're watching it again. Uh-huh. But some of that was based on like CIA stuff that they did in the 80s or in stuff. So that's where it's kind of like, well, was this part of that? Like where they were doing like the tests on the children for mind control and like seeing...
I mean, who knows what they did? I'm sure that's a lot of speculation about that.
Dun.
How far did these experiments actually go? What did they actually result in? I don't know if really a lot of that is technically known or not publicly. I have no idea.
Which is why I'm like, should we be listening to these? What are they doing?
What are they doing? No, just kidding.
Here it is, but the thing that it left out on, so like it jumps from like the end of a sentence on page, or on, I think it's number 34 of something, and then number 35 is left brain limitations, and then 36 is self-knowledge. And it was interesting, just some of the, what was it? Well, never mind. I'll put a link to it, and then I'll put a thingy on it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You can discuss it with us on
I got sidetracked because I was looking for it.
Yes.
So that's interesting, this 25th page. I didn't even really notice. I kind of like quasi-sped read it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was probably it was so like...
It was very technical jargon.
Yes. Yeah. It was hard. I had to reread so many sentences to understand what the heck they were even saying, but there were some of them I still probably didn't understand what they said.
Not completely, yeah. Not with like certain technical knowledge that we don't entirely have as non-scientist people,
Yeah.
Right.
I haven't read them. I feel like I should read them now, and I'm curious.
We'll pass them on to you.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, I mean, you also have, like, less distractions. When I did mine, I tried to get up early before the kids got up, and when Trevor was at work, and then Levi woke up, like, within 10 minutes, and then...
Yeah, you don't have the time and privacy that I do.
Yeah, so. To be like, I'm going to go do this for 30 minutes. And multiple times.
I mean, that is something, too, that I probably... At night, usually now, I've been able to, sleep again.
Have some downtime.
Kind of, yeah. Like, well, I think part of my problem was that I was pushing past my limit on some nights where I probably should just go to bed and not.
And then after you push it, it's a lot harder.
Yep. So I just stopped doing that. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to go to bed.
I made sure to do it again last night, so just to have like a kind of a fresh experience. And I'm getting to the point where it's like, it's having me like, I can't remember the terminology exactly that they use because I'm terrible. But basically you have to like think of like what you want and like pieces of yourself that you want to fix or how you envision it kind of, and like push that out into the universe kind of like thing. And so like we're working on that. I don't know. I don't know if I'm really pushing anything anywhere, but we're trying.
That's the part of it that I think actually is a little more appealing to me in the sense is the fact that, like, I do think it's skeptical about the whole, like, mind control thing, but then I think about what it's doing on an individual level for people, and it's like, you kind of personalize it as you do it, so therefore, it's not like they can really, like, but at the same time, they admit of subliminal messaging, so it's kind of like, okay, so.
Well, if we're, like, tapping into this, like, multi-consciousness of the universe, then we can tap into pretty much anything, right?
Well, so I think I would get a lot more out of it if, like, I just read what he's telling us to do, and then I did that, like, on my own visuals, in my own visual path, instead of listening to his neurotic voice and the beep, 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 you know?
There is a manual that I found online once for this, when I was doing my, like, deep dive, and it has, like, for most of the waves, it gives, like, more, like, written instruction for certain waves, which was kind of helpful in some pieces, because sometimes so this is, like, just, like, being my honest review. There are a couple of episodes where they tell you to do things that, like, the language they're using, I'm not really sure entirely what they are wanting me to do. Like,
yeah.
And so I had to, like, look into it a little bit. And most of my questions have been answered through this guide thing that I found.
Well, and a lot of the YouTube reviews that I saw, that was what kind of, like, a lot of people were saying, that they would get to something and then they would be trying to visualize it and they would get stuck because they're like, well, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be, and, like, kind of like what I ran into. Like, I'm visualizing my kid as this energetic ball, and then they tell me I'm putting my negative distractions and energy into this box and walking away from it.
Well, I mean, that's the first timer, you know. Next time you go into it, you're like, okay, I'm prepared for this moment. I will not shove my negative energy into my energy box child.
You have to now visualize your child and visualize
you just take that shit back
all
out.
the energy back out.
Swap it out.
And give
I already did that during the rest of the video, and yeah.
There we go. Then it's all good.
You're good. You didn't do nothing bad. Too funny.
It was like, no, not that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, CIA.
Oh, man.
We're trying to stop the generational trauma, not put it back in him.
What's funny to me is that I actually have never, like, I don't really go on guided meditations or listen to guided meditations, so that was, I think, part of the reason why I was a little, like, off-put from them, just because it's, you know, I always feel awkward when I'm doing or listening those things, like, yeah. But, anyways...
Yeah.
I think the only one that I've actually, like, listened to and, like, actually followed through with was the one that I listened to the night I went into labor with Levi. Like, for some reason, I just felt like I needed to extra relax that night, and I was like, I'm going to have a hard time falling asleep. Maybe I should try this, and then I tried it and woke up to being in labor. And
yeah, I've never really resonated much with meditation, but for whatever reason, this kind of, I think, works that way for me, because I do feel, like, really relaxed afterwards. Like, I fall asleep much easier, and, like, I have one of those, like, racing minds. Like, I'm always thinking about something.
Yeah.
You know? Whether it's good or bad or otherwise.
Well, I really
wonder... slows that down for me.
It doesn't for me.
Like, for me, I kind of am interested in the whole hemisync thing, though, because I did look at, on one of the other videos that I watched when they kind of broke down that document, it was, like, showing kind of how, a brain before the hemisync and then a brain after the hemisync, and it was hoping... I wonder what I would be thinking about or how I would be thinking if I was in, like, coherence.
I'm hoping that our next experience, maybe we can tap into the hemisync on our own without, like, doing the guided CIA meditation. The
sleep deprivation tapes?
Yeah.
I mean, that
sensory deprivation.
Or sensory deprivation,
But
What did I say?
Sleep deprivation.
I
have that all the time.
That's already what I was planning to do. Like, even when we were at when we went to Salt and Soul, that was like what it kind of wasn't, like, quiet enough in there for me to do it completely, but with
all the giggling and
there was a lot of There were shenanigans.
Rolling around.
Yeah. Digging our elbows in and stuff. I mean, I did it too. So I'm, for the record, I'm not.
I buried
innocent.
myself.
But anyways, I did try to sort of do the process of the gateway experience in there.
Mm-hmm.
Not to a lot of success, but I mean, I haven't had a lot of like actual success anyway. Besides, like, it makes me relaxed and like, you know, it does, I've noticed. I've continued to do it because I noticed like a difference in like the way I'm able to fall asleep, especially.
Well, and one of the things they did say, and they also just say about hypnotism in general, is that if a person goes into it with skepticism and like doesn't believe in it or doesn't think that it can actually happen, then it probably doesn't happen. But if you like kind of are surrendering to the fact that it could, more people have like said to be having those experiences, I guess, if they believe that it can happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I can kind of see a little bit in the sense that, you know, kind of placebo effect / you know, you kind of, I don't know, feed into what you see and believe. So it's like, you know, if you think you can actually do it, you believe it, then maybe you can. But I feel like I would also approach it with, I'm just so uncomfortable during it that I already am skeptical, and I just worry that, I won't be able to have like the full-on experience, you know, just because of that. Like,
because of what it is. And
I don't know. That's my only doubt, like, because I do want to try it, and I do want to like give it a go and see if I can achieve an out-of-body experience, which, you know, to be honest, that's the other thing that I am a little bit like, I feel like it probably could happen, maybe, now that I'm thinking about it. Because I feel like, you know, they talk about how, what was that saying from Tesla? If you want to understand the universe, think on a level of frequencies or something. And, I mean, if you tune the brain to, resonate at a certain frequency, and then you're hypnotized more or less, and you're in like a dream state, and you're kind of like, feeding yourself subliminal messages to respond to because you just do. Because I have heard of people that like will stop smoking under hypnosis, and I'm like, well, what would even be the cause of that? Like, how would that work? You know, but I guess if you're subliminally messaging to yourself that you are, you know.
So have you ever seen the episode of Friends where Chandler's trying to stop smoking and he listens to the tape, but it's like telling him that he's a strong, confident woman, and like he starts wearing like lipstick and heels and stuff, like, because he's listening to this tape like every night.
That's what you're worried about.
Yes. No.
But in other ways, like that there's other subliminal messages that'll be going along with the other ones that we don't hear. Yeah. Well, and you also think about when you're a kid and you take those hearing tests at school, and they'll do like one in this ear and then one in that ear, and if you can hear them or not. But as you get older and an adult, you can't hear some of those frequencies that they are sending into those things, and it's like, because you're just older, and the older you get, you cannot hear them.
Yeah,
literally.
I was just saying earlier, I think I need a hearing test to see what.
I don't know if I heard half of that shit. No. But no, it's like, you know, you wonder about if you're hearing things that are, if you're not hearing things that are there because they're just on this frequency that you can't hear. So we're, you know, feeding you all of this.
Yeah.
Wow, you think you're just listening to this.
Well, so I kind of more like the vibes of when we were at the Beltane Festival, and she was talking about like capturing essences and using those to like get on different frequencies, and like if you want to change your frequency, like then the CIA like tapping into my frequencies and telling it what to be, you know, because I don't know, I don't think there's like a one size, I don't know, fits all thing to like tap into that. It's all still constructed on what he's saying, what he's narrating and guiding you into, where like that still seems limited to me if I'm trying to expand my consciousness. You know, I don't want it to be controlled really by his guidance or what. So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I'm trying to test the boundaries of what the conscious realms are, then I don't want it to have so much of a human construct around it to begin with. I'd rather go with a natural vibe and try and
I've noticed as I go on, though, he's less involved. Like, he intervenes every once in a while, but it becomes a little less as you go on in my experienced thus far, and I'm wondering if that's going to continue to be the case.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure yet, obviously. But
Like, I could imagine that during the first wave when they are explaining, like, how to, like, you know, do the box and do the bubble and, you know, I heard that there's something with, like, breathing your energy or something. I heard people talk about breathing in and out, like...
Having it be different colors.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And yeah, so I can see where he might need to be there to, like, explain that process for that to be what might work for people. But I could also see people, you know, like, tapping into it in some way themselves and having, like, because I'm sure that when people do go on, like, really, really deep meditations and they can, like, transcend their mind and body, that they probably have their own, like, way to do it outside of this already. So, I mean, I feel like maybe this is more or less, like, the easy, quick, like, you know,
like a
trick the brain into it instead of having to, like, that's the only thing that I can be like, man, maybe I could benefit from that, because then I could actually have the experience, but I don't want to necessarily force it if I can't do it on my own, because if I can do it on my own naturally, that would be the more, I feel like, beneficial way to be able to do it, but thus far I haven't been able to, so I almost wonder if I should give this a go just so I can, like, know what the feeling is like.
We still got the float tanks and, like, other experiences to try.
Well, and to be honest, so when I did go to Luna de Torres, she gave me a guided meditation, and that was the only one that I kind of liked, but I changed it, like, and I even told her afterwards, I was like, because she had me, like, walk down this moss path and then, like, go up to this willow tree that had a bench on it and sit on the bench and put my back up against the tree, and I for some reason didn't like that, so I changed the moss to, remember on Grandma Dorothy's, the side of her house, there was, like, a patch of grass that was just, like, super duper soft all the time. It was right under her gutters, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, at certain points, I mean, not soft, like, soppy soft, but just, like, lush soft, like, super soft. But anyway, so I made that my path, and then when I got to the tree, I didn't sit on the bench, I just laid on the grass, and it was so funny, because, like, during it, I felt like my hair was, like, just sprawled out and, like, becoming, like, roots into the earth. Like, it was the coolest feeling I've ever, like, and that was the only time I've ever had a guided meditation that actually worked a little bit, but I still had to, like, tweak it to be my own. Like, but it was something...
she doing the sound during the meditation?
Yep.
Nice.
Well, she kind of was doing it during it, and then she would, like, set it up, and then just kind of, like, leave me be and just do sound. And then she would kind of, like, come back and, you know...
guide you somewhere.
Yep. It was pretty cool, actually, though. For the first time I ever did, like, a person doing a guided meditation for me, and it wasn't, you know...
You should, like... Yeah. Well, we could discuss this off, but... You said she was cool. We should maybe see if she wanted to come on and talk about it. If she can do, like, a
group session?
A group session with us, and then record with us after, or before, or both.
I mean, that would be awesome. I could ask her if she would be interested. I'm sure she would. I mean...
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, obviously we could, like, pay her for a session and then just see if she
wants to do the additional, like, recording with us.
Oh, I will ask her. That'd be awesome. Well, and the thing that also we talked about afterwards was she has a friend that does past life regression, and I've always been interested in that just because, like, I kind of wonder if ever...
I try anything once or twice.
I mean...
That's a lie. I would not try anything. But I tried that.
I was like, wait a minute. No. I will not try anything once or twice.
That was definitely an exaggeration.
Some things, yes, but that thing, no.
Oh, man.
Okay. So, back to...
How many did you listen to?
Okay.
I only listened to the first with the box, and then I listened to all the reviews and read all the things, and...
You do research, that's fine.
Yeah.
But like I said, I am slightly convinced that I might try it and see how it goes, because I feel like I could be the one that needs to have it, just, you know...
Yeah.
Just do it to me so I can have the experience. Well, you know what? In that sense, I could do other things to tap into that experience, I'm sure. as well. So maybe that's what I need.
Yeah. Wink, wink. I'm really excited for the float tank, though. I feel like we might even be able to fit that in before I go on vacation, like doing the first ones. Maybe we'll have to check their schedules, but
I was just gonna say
we've already paid for them, so we just gotta go. I'm super excited.
Yeah,
me too. I'm hoping that it'll give us like muscle relief too afterwards. That's what I'm looking forward to, is to feel
the
like
relaxation and like the detox.
Yes. And just to feel better. We need to hydrate. I keep forgetting that I need to make sure I do that.
I drink water pretty much every day, so
I need to get better. Worried. I need to do what you do. I need to just get like a actual.
Yeah, I just have water.
What's the brand that you have?
I don't know, but it's like just like a
good.
From
double
Amazon
stainless steel.
Oh, your new one.
Or were you wanting the like big old jug?
No. I don't want the big old jug. I have one of those and I don't use it.
Yeah. I have this like.
I mean,
it's like a 32-ounce tumbler or something. Maybe.
I think the reason why I don't is because I need to. I think get a water filter for under my sink, and then I'll feel good about doing tap water. Because I do the bottled water thing, and even that I'm like, there's plastic in that.
Yeah, we use bottled water because our city water is not good.
I might have some Brita filters here somewhere.
I mean, I used to do that, but I don't really keep up on that. I wish I just had, one of the under the water, or under the sink ones, because it's just so much more convenient to have a little spout there that you can get your good water out of. Or your
all right, we're recording an episode.
Yeah. All right, yes, back to topic.
We are
so
the queens of getting off. So I'm going to continue to do the gateway experience, I think. I mean, I have not run into anything that I've found alarming about it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like the fact that you have done it personally and you're okay, and that I've kind of, seen reviews of other people online and they've done it and they're okay, I feel confident about going about it and doing it. The only thing is that I feel like I want to be consistent about it, and I feel like I need to make sure that that I'm consistent in my life.
Just go for it.
Just go for it. Yeah. Just it doesn't have to be a plan. But yeah, I honestly do think I'm going to try it.
Yeah. I mean, they have like a class at that Monroe Institute too. I would never pay to go do that. It's like really expensive. And I am poor grad student.
Yep. Y'all want to pay to have her come and do it? Just let us know. No, I'm just kidding.
No. But yeah, I think I'll do it on my own. It's fine. But yeah, I'm gonna continue. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious what'll come of it. I'm guessing probably nothing. Like, to be really honest.
I mean, the thing that's kind of funny though is I feel like we are every single night that we go to sleep, we go into a dreamlike state. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not impossible for me to think that you can be like more aware and in that dream state and be more conscious about what you're doing in that state, because like
did we ever talk I'm sorry, I think I might be going back a little bit, but did we ever talk about what hemisync actually is, what that process is?
I honestly don't know if we actually,
I don't think we did. I think we've
talked about it a couple of times, but not like described it.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like maybe we should describe that. So the gateway experience uses a process that it's kind of called, I think it's mostly called hemisync throughout their, process or whatever. Mm-hmm. And what it does like certain sound frequencies of different frequency sounds in each ear, basically. Mm-hmm. And then like there's a certain term for it, but again, we know I think
it's resonance, like brainwave resonance, where your brain tries to mimic the
it tries
between the two.
Yeah, so it tries to create like an equilibrium, I guess you'd say, almost. I'm probably botching like the descriptions here, but I think we have a general.
It's like it'll play like something at say 28 hertz in one ear and 24 hertz in the other ear. So your
tries
brain
to like average it in the middle of your hemispheres.
And tries to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it tries to synchronize your hemispheres.
Yeah. So you're.
So that's kind of like the process that it's.
Well, and it said that your right brain and your left brain function more. Like one's on the creative side and one's on the more logical side. So by hemi-syncing them, you basically are able to tap into using more of your creative and you're thinking differently, basically.
Yeah,
you
kind of cross over a little bit, I guess. I don't know.
If you can use both sides simultaneously, then you can
think more.
Apparently, you can do all kinds of
transpire space and time
on some level,
or so they say. I don't know. Whatever happens, I'll let you know.
I mean, when you read the CIA document, though, it really does break some shit down to be like, dang, like they.
It sounds interesting, but I'll be honest, I don't know if I know enough about science personally to know whether or not it's all, like, bullshit. If I'm being completely honest.
That's the hard part with any science for me sometimes. Like, I need to have the evidence for myself, I guess. So that's why I also want to do it, because I feel like, what they can say it does is one thing, but what I can experience is a whole other thing. So if I can actually experience what they say it does, then I'll believe them.
Yeah. I mean, I think I understand a lot, but like I acknowledge my limitations in some ways about some science stuff. You know what I mean? So
I feel like, to be honest, for a long time I've always been like fascinated with brain stuff and just science stuff.
I like reading about it and whatever.
I always watch YouTube videos.
But I don't proclaim to be an expert, of course.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I am by far not.
I find it interesting. I do read about it, but I only understand it theoretically, not even completely theoretically.
Well, but the thing that I find interesting, though, is that, like, there's still such similarities between, like, all the things that they all say, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, they're all on the same track. Even with ancient cultures that are, like, on the same track of doing their thing, like, they're just scientifically, wording their ways of the same thing that they've probably had their own ways to describe for, like, thousands of years. So, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that everybody at some point comes to the same conclusion in their own way to describe it. Like,
all right. Well, do we have any last words on
the
Gateway experience?
I will be trying it and see if this shit can actually happen, because I would love to be able to, on cue, go into an ether of intelligence and be able to,
access all that info.
Like, what would be the most productive?
I've never watched Doctor Strange, but doesn't he have like a whole? Isn't that kind of his thing? He can like
transcend time and space
or something like that.
I mean, he does
I
travel
might be wrong,
between universes.
I've never watched Doctor Strange.
Well, so when we're in the sensory deprivation tanks, one of my goals is to try and like reconnect with my inner child that I pretty much, I think I tried to kill off after I got PTSD when I was like, I mourned like the person I used to be, but I think in mourning that I, killed the child I used to be. So now I need to like try and
reconnect
those, PTSD wounds. I need to try and heal. But I think, I feel like I would have more luck doing that in the tank or through other experiences we might try. Than through this experience.
Yeah.
I'd say that's a fair thing. I mean,
So, I guess with that, we'll just say watch out for Patreon, because we'll drop something about this episode, and
we'll share all of those leaked documents.
I was just gonna say, I'll show you guys the document that I found that has all the subliminal messages in it.
And I think we'll probably just put it on our. Do we want to put it on our general feed?
No, just Patreon.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Like our general feed on Patreon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll put it there. Experience the weird. Go on this adventure.
How much is our general fee for Patreon? It's like what? $3?
It's the level above book club, so it's
$5.
$5. So $5 a month.
$1.25
a week.
Look at you, saleswoman. I was kidding.
I was just,
one Starbucks a month.
Let us entertain you.
But no, I'm glad that at least you brought it to our attention, because I feel like it's an interesting experience that I wouldn't have thought about having otherwise, and now I am thinking about it, and I feel like that's something that I've always wanted to do, is kind of like transcend my own mind and body to be able to like experience all those outer things that
I like the idea of it, but just his voice, the way I can't have him lead me down that path.
He was not
for
the
me.
right
Someone else needs to talk in their sexy voice and read it.
You're not the one for
Take me out down that trip.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, until next time, Coven.
Blessed be witches.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Midwest Coven Cast.
We'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode.
In the meantime, you can check out Midwest Coven Cast Presents Weekend Reads.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Join and support us on Patreon. You can also find us at
MidwestCovenCast.com.
You can also join our coven by following us on social media.
At Midwest Coven Cast on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and at Midwest Coven on Twitter.
Until next time, Coven.
Blessed be.